Hello, After Buzzers, and welcome to the Genius After Show. Today we're talking Chapter 6, which was full of starts of wars and final breakups and kind of getting together, but not really. It was an exciting episode, and we have exciting guests for you, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, welcome. We are at full panel strength. It has been an exciting episode.
Yes.
6. Let's go. There's so much happening today, guys. Panel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, starting with Zach.
How you doing, guys? My name is Zach Silverman. You can find me on social media at Zach with the CH Silverman 2 and at my website, thezachsilverman.com.
Hey everybody, always great to be here. My name is Elysabeth Alfano, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at dinnerpartychgo.
Hi everyone, my name is Louiza Sharamatyan. You can find me on Instagram at Nobody Reads Anymore and on Twitter at Nobody Reads.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com, and every Wednesday at Schmoes No. And guys, this episode was,
Mileva.
is volatile
Oh my word.
too big a word?
Not at all.
Is it? No, okay,
Not at
that's
all.
how I felt after I ended this episode. I was like, my heart hurts.
My
I'm
heart
in
hurts,
a little
yeah.
bit of pain, but I'm also kind of excited for the future because Jeffrey Rush is coming back. It's very exciting.
Yes.
But we really see how Einstein was treating Mileva. I was all for Elsa, but now I'm like, no way.
I felt this was definitely the
Yeah.
week when I talked to a lot of fans outside of here saying like, I don't know about Mileva and I don't know. And then this week they were like, oh, Mileva was ruined. Like, why? Why did this happen to her?
Yeah.
Well, one thing that's amazing to me is we continue to see the humanness of Albert Einstein and the incredible range which he is capable of, like any other human being. So you see him sink to god-awful lows here. I didn't think it was possible that he could be so cruel, and he really is horrible to her.
And oblivious to the cruelty.
And doesn't see why it just can't all work out for him.
He comes home to Mileva being so mean and rough from her day, but we understand why. But he still yet maintains his skill, and he's still curious, and he goes out and he does his thing, but he still comes home to that home that's not so pleasant for him.
It's dark.
Yes,
There's just a
so
cloud
dark.
there, but he's creating that cloud
Yes,
also.
she
Yeah.
says,
I just wish he would like open up his eyes and see like, hey, we were a partnership and we're no longer
What
this
happened?
I think
two
what's
minds
interesting
together.
about this is the fact that I don't think we see a lot of characters like this on TV who genuinely are having difficulty understanding human interaction.
Yeah, it's not really that
and it's legitimate. Like, it happens. Like, some people are just like, why are we fighting right now? I don't know how we got here, and I can't process
very easy
my
for
role
us to
in
see
it.
it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't really have
But
the
he
skill
can't.
set.
Yeah.
He even says,
all.
I'm thrusting myself into this creative endeavor. I don't have time for everything
And
else.
I can't understand the human nature of women. And I think
Yes.
Mileva thinks that he's pretending not to understand her, but he doesn't. He doesn't have it in him.
But what's amazing to me is that he doesn't understand women, perhaps we'll say, or human nature, or relationships. Okay, I'll give him that. He's a man, he's a scientist, and this is 1913 after all. But he does understand dreams, and he does understand
Curiosity.
the passion of science.
Yes.
And her dreams have gone by the wayside for this life that she has with him.
That's what hurt
And
me the most this episode.
He's got to
like,
see that.
The ending of to jump all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Ending of the episode, she's like, I moved to Berlin for you.
For you.
And like
Right.
previous to all these episodes, she's moved all over these places, and he keeps blaming her. You're unhappy here. You're unhappy here. You're this
And
dark
that divorce
cloud.
contract, so
Was
dehumanizing. What was that? Make
That
me
was-
3 meals a day.
Was that in the book?
My
Yes.
blood
And
That
really
was-
boils,
and
but
leave
right
the room.
there.
When I say leave the room, just horrible.
No, and then how could you not warn me? I was like, we're getting ahead of a lot of things,
Yeah,
but you can
it's
see
just too
that
many
we
good
were
stuff
upset
happening.
this episode.
Yes, we are.
Which is why I think maybe that it's appropriate that we have some people here who we can
Yeah.
be like,
Tone us
why
down.
is this happening?
Right. Explain what's going on. Well, let me bring our great guests into the conversation.
Yay.
So we have a very special day today, everyone. We have Gigi Pritzker and Rachel Shane.
Hello.
So they are executive producers of Genius. Yay! They are of Madison Wells Media's Odd Lot Entertainment, and they are executive producers who have been on this show, and we want to hear from you two. How did this even come to be? You know, the story of Albert Einstein is obviously as old as the hills, and it's I'm surprised it's taken this long to come to television. And so what was it that actually brought the idea to the forefront?
Well, first of all, that conversation was so, I can't tell you how exciting it was. Yes.
On point.
Brought you right back to it, right?
Oh my God, it was great, and I so wanted to jump in,
Please.
but back to your question. So we started with this material almost 8 years ago when we acquired the rights to Walter Isaacson's amazing
have it right
book.
here.
Yes, I saw that. And the book is amazing. I mean, incredible. And I had seen Walter speak a number of times on his book tour. And the thing that was so fascinating to me when Walter spoke about Einstein, he really spoke about him as a man, as a human, not the guy with the picture of the tongue sticking out, the crazy professor, but like he was a rock star, he was hot, he had women, he was all kinds of things. He was a jerk. He was a lot. Yeah. And he talked about Einstein in a way that I had never thought about Einstein. And so that's what attracted me to the material. And then we tried unsuccessfully for many, many years to make this into a feature film. And I think it goes to the power of tenacity and of being patient with material, because when we started, there really wasn't the robust world for television that there is now. And so we kept trying to fit it into the mold of a feature film. And his life, as you see now in episode 6 and more to come, is so enormous. And there's so many themes and so many pieces to it. And it's in a piece of history that is enormous and fascinating and multifaceted. So it wasn't until we started to rethink it after we failed miserably and said, how can we rethink this? And we thought about it as episodic television.
I'm glad you went that way. I have to say, I would have felt very undercutted if it was just a movie.
Yeah.
There's so much about his life that
and
is...
the time, as you say.
Oh my God.
And there were a lot of choices that were made. And we still, in 10 episodes, can't
get
cover
enough.
Do it all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I was telling the panel earlier that Walter does such a great job of taking the science genius out, and we focus on the human Einstein. Who is he? Working on all these things and being curious. And in the past, you've both worked on such great adaptations from books to movies like Divergent and Drive. So I'm sure this has been incredible to see, to come alive.
It has been amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I look at the roster of executive producers, I think I counted 13.
I think there's about executive producers.
Executive
there's
producers.
at least 21 producers just
And
listed.
then there's producers, and I mean the list is enormous.
Not to shortcut you guys.
So how did that work out? Did you start with the concept and then brought it to Ron Howard, or how did it all shake out with so many people involved?
Yeah, essentially, as Gigi said, we owned the book for a very long time. We made the decision to pivot to TV. The timing was perfect. We hired Noah Pink, who has created by and has written 2 of the episodes, and he's this fabulous young writer. And he developed the pilot and a Bible. And I actually had worked at Imagine as an assistant and still maintained relationships and friendships there. So I approached Anna Culp, who's one of the producers that are named
on the list. Yes,
and she was incredibly active on the show, and she championed it. She fell in love with the script and championed it with Ron, and Ron read it. And Ron, coming from the feature world and this having that kind of epic sensibility to it, I think he was really drawn to it. He also was drawn to the science and looking into the inner mind, especially of a genius. And so from there, Imagine came on board, and they had the relationship with Nat Geo, and so things just kind of snowballed with the multiple people involved. And that's basically the origin.
And naturally, did you both decide to bring on Hans Zimmer? Because he would do such an incredible job.
Yeah, well, I think Ron's relationship with him is very long-lasting. And we just said yes.
And Lauren Balfe, I believe. It's Hans Zimmer and Lauren Balfe.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the beauty of having someone like Ron. And for him to choose this as his first foray into directing TV, and really, I mean, he's been in the old days with Happy Days and others, but really this was his first, current TV foray, and I think it meant a lot to us, and I think he's brought, an enormous amount as did all of our friends at Imagine.
And we always say here on this panel, it feels like a film.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you were originally going for a film and now you're on TV, you still have that feeling of
Lighting and everything.
Yes, the
Cinematography
the
is just
lighting
beautiful.
is
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
Very
stunning.
bold, very bold.
Yes, when we're always talking about the lighting on the show, how it's backlit and you can see, you know, light, of course, scientifically plays such an important theme in this series, and the light that comes through the windows, and it's always sort of dusty, so you just feel
You just
the
get that
time.
feel
It's
that you're back then.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing we are always talking about on the panel is award season and how excited we are for a lot of your
It has to
performers.
this win.
Yeah.
We had Sarah on the show last
Samantha.
week. Samantha, excuse me, who was amazing as Mileva and has done an amazing job. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the casting process and what was that like? Had you always planned to do 2 separate Einsteins to cover the enormous span that you're covering?
It was a conversation for a moment, but I think the reality was that it would just be really too complicated to have one actor do it all.
Yeah.
And again, Ron very much was interested in Jeffrey Rush, as were we all.
Incredible.
Hard to say no.
And there was an availability question. We adjusted some of the scheduling so that it could work, and he was just phenomenal. And we're really excited for everyone to see when he comes on. But Johnny Flynn, who plays the young Einstein,
So
He's
adorable.
phenomenal.
Incredible.
he is
So
he is
adorable.
unbelievable, and I am getting so many calls about him.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are, yeah.
And he's also a musician, pretty well known.
Wow.
And the fact that his blonde hair and blue eyes and the makeup is amazing.
It's incredible.
That's one of my notes in
Yeah.
this episode, because
Yeah.
time has passed, and we see Mileva, how much older
yes.
she's aged, and you could see the weather in her eyes and everything, like how much she's gone through compared to Einstein for the most part, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
when Michael was on the show, because we had Michael McElhatton here
Yeah.
as well as Samantha Coley, he was saying that he would be in the makeup chair sometimes for 2-3 hours. The makeup is incredible. Again, you see that transformation with
Attention to
Samantha
detail.
and also with Johnny. It's really, they're so embodying the people themselves.
The aesthetics are perfect. The costume, the makeup, it just brings everything so much alive, so amplified. So, yeah.
I think what's really interesting about your guys' jobs is a lot of times, like, you know, producing is planning, but in film and in television as well, there are always surprises and things that trip you up. I was wondering if you had maybe any fun or crazy adventures on the show from the producing side. Maybe you secure these amazing, like, immaculate locations, and you're filming all over the world.
In particular on this one, what was amazing to me was how versatile Prague was. It's all shot in Prague.
I'm sorry, what?
I didn't know that.
They go out of the city for
Okay.
certain things.
Yeah, but
and-
basically,
I was so under the impression that this was like global, big, one area.
Just one area.
My
Yeah,
goodness.
I mean, there were treks out to some mountainous regions, but Prague was
let's
really.
just be clear. We didn't go to Germany and Princeton and
Yeah.
Switzerland and Prague.
It's
and
amazing.
we were we took a field
Yeah.
trip or two,
Yeah.
but we were all
Yeah.
in that arena.
It was a great location.
It was amazing.
Now that I think of it,
that's
most of the
wonderful.
shots are like inside, in laboratories and such,
But even
and
the street
homes.
scenes that look like
Yeah.
little Switzerland courtyards and everything. I had read that it was all in Prague. It's
That's
amazing.
incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so locations, important. Get them, producers. Wonderful. I wanted to go into just a little bit of the episode, and we'll highlight some of our favorite parts of this episode. So when we start, we are gazing at the stars with new lovebird. I love our lovebird scientists, even if it doesn't always end well. They're just so precious.
This is the second time the episode opens up with an engagement.
Yes.
Yes, good intentions,
Yes.
even though the honeymoon ends up being like, whoops, I have to work.
Whoops, I'm behind enemy lines. Getting beat up. I almost died.
Yeah, and I
Sorry, honey.
They're risky here. Is what we're
Yeah, and
learning.
I think Mileva was caught off guard. I don't think she knew what was happening at all until her friend mentions to her that they're together on
Yeah.
a work trip, and she puts everything together, and it was just so heartbreaking because now I see what she's going through.
Well, I think that's later. She doesn't even
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
that she's going
Yeah.
to Berlin. In the very beginning
Again,
of the
her
episode,
friend tells her,
it's
"I
a different friend
know."
who says, "Oh, we're all going to Berlin."
No
She had-
communication from Einstein. He's
Well,
not
it's
saying
funny. This is
anything.
fun. This is interesting how I guess the writers spun in this episode, where Einstein really is being held up. You know, he's really waiting for the decision, but the writers make it seem like Einstein's off with Elsa, and the mathematician comes in and is like, oh yeah, I had this appointment and I went to the school and he's not there, and like my mind goes, oh, he's cheating, he's off doing something, but really he was being held up for the decision. So the writers are trying to be like, no, Einstein's still being a good guy, but
he still goes and sees his
towards
lady.
that was the next thing that I wrote. Was like the first thing he does is he goes
to
right to Elsa. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Elsa is something that Mileva was not. You know, she never really nurtured him, you know, washed his clothes and all that stuff. Maybe she did, I don't know. But we can see a very domesticated Elsa that lives and breathes Einstein. And, you know, she wants to be his wife. And that's why he's just bending towards her.
And this is disappointing as well, because early on Einstein says, I want us to be partners and I want to see Mileva come forward as a scientist and I want to recognize her and her work. But in the end, he never really does what Monsieur Curie does, which is stands up for his wife and says,
he gets caught up with the times. That was like my huge note of this, that there's multiple mentions of like, oh, why don't you just get a mistress? Don't get a divorce. Even Mileva's friend was just
that
like...
might still happen today.
I mean, but still, it just is... I thought there was more... The way the show started was there's more bohemian, all about love and like staying true to that. And now it's just kind of like, oh, I have a mistress. She has a mistress. Everyone has mistresses.
Well, her friend said basically, you will find it more satisfying if you allow yourself some freedom.
Yeah.
And then we see her go to Vladimir, which is probably, I'm going a little too fast, but we see her going to Vladimir, to the hotel room, and then she admits, she says, I can't do it. I can't do that to you and the family. So,
until she's pushed to the brink.
I mean, I feel like we're seeing a lot of sides. Last week we talked a little bit about how we wanted Mileva to take a little self-responsibility. Like, you can go to the library, like you have the ability and the means to go research some things. And I think, again, we're seeing her kind of like, but I wanted to do it with Albert. Like, I wanted the relationship. I wanted the partnership that was promised to me. On the other side of that, I completely understand Einstein being like, in this woman who isn't my wife, I see a real life partner. Like the things I didn't think of as a young man, the things I didn't think that I needed. I didn't need someone to wash my shirts or whatever because I didn't care. I just went to school and I learned. But now that I have to be professional, now that I have to present myself to people, now that, you know, I have to the speech impediments that he has or the difficulty he has communicating with people sometimes, she can bridge those gaps for him flawlessly.
Which
and
we
quickly.
see.
Elsa knows that he doesn't have great social skills, so she's completing that for him.
So I completely understand, even though I see it hurting Mileva, and that's difficult to watch, I think, a lot of times. I completely understand wanting somebody who not is just good for you business-wise, but genuinely wants to take care of you, which is just a basic human
And one
need.
thing about Mileva that I'm not a fan of as of right now is the way she's talking. Well, she wants the children to hate Einstein, and he's so hurt by that. He was so surprised. Don't do that. As a mother, I don't know.
Like, look,
I think I might be on your page with this one.
I have conflicting feelings, because on the one side, like, your dad kind of is a dick. Like, he's kind of mean. He's really
never
mean to
around.
Me specifically.
He's trying.
You know, and the idea that, yes, parents, it's a really difficult road to straddle of, like, how do I talk to you about your father who is also your idol, but who's also doesn't treat me well? Like, that's complicated.
But the kids are always off base, I think.
Here's
personal perspective here. Kids need to always be off base.
To counter all that, we see the only times Einstein or Albert with his kids, he's offering things to them. Oh, would you like a cake?
The kite.
Would you like a kite? That's the only interaction he really has with his children. Where, like, if you want to separate it, Mileva's talking bad about Einstein to the kids, and, you know, Albert is trying to win the kids over in this sense, and it's the classic signs of, like, what a divorce really goes through and what it is. And
this is one of the things I love about the series is Albert Einstein reflects what everyone else is going through in the world. This is what every divorced couple has ever experienced.
Yeah.
These are what kids of divorced couples experience. He is a man like no others, or like any other.
Yeah.
So I
it's
think
universal
that's
themes that everyone can relate to, all of the world.
smartest man in the world still has to deal with it.
has to deal with it.
Sorry, sir.
Yes. I feel like the show has unearthed a lot about Einstein for a lot of, I want to say layman's people because that's the only word that comes to mind, but that also sounds mean. For people, like, I didn't know a lot about Einstein. I knew, as our guest said earlier, the shiny old man, goofy professor image, which is kind of awesome. Like, he's an icon. But hearing today about these divorce papers And the fact that you didn't bring it to, like,
God,
this is the most shocking, most disconnect from that
dehumanizing,
image that I've had so far in the series. And I wanted to know initial reactions. Like, as this is happening, how does everyone feel?
Didn't think he could sink so low.
Selfish,
Just didn't think it was possible.
dehumanizing,
Yes.
forgetting about their past.
That he would be so dehumanizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just. I was astonished when he did that. Like, I can't. Why would you put someone through that? Like, just because you want. He's a child. He's a child. Yeah. I was,
She's not a robot. You know, she can't do all
but
that.
good
She
for
has
her.
feelings.
You know,
She-
I'm sorry. Good for her though. For like, you know what? I'll play your game.
I love that.
I'm
Let's
happy
do
that
this.
she met with Vladimir.
I'm very happy.
I am too. I'm happy
She's
that
a
she
woman.
went with
She
him.
has needs, and I'm happy she did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
want
that
to
she
ask
stood
you
up to
guys,
Albert.
since we have you here, you talk about how you had to cut some things from the book just for time-wise, got restraints. And I was wondering, with such an icon, you know, and how you portray him, that could obviously be controversy or tension, and I'm not sure if Einstein has an estate, but was there any, like, concerns or issues about what you would show? Was there anything you're like, we don't want to show this, we don't want to put a bad image out there?
No, and we had, you know, the beauty of it was we had Walter's book, which is kind of the most incredible research,
All-encompassing.
all-encompassing.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have to go back to your conversation.
Please.
I was dying.
Yeah, guys, talk.
please.
Feel free to talk
Because we
anytime.
wanted
This is
it was
interactive.
awesome. So you were all articulating one of the things that we were talking about when we were trying to organize the material and figure out how to do this. And one of the framing devices is the women of Einstein, because that is a thing that is through his life. And
constant.
who were these women, and why that woman at that time? Why Mileva early? Why Elsa later? And they're very different people. And it's fascinating, and we talk about this a lot. I mean, he needed Mileva in the beginning. He couldn't do some of that math.
Yeah.
And then he
without
needed
her.
Elsa.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he needed Elsa.
So it's and there are multiple letters that are actually online with his discourse between lovers, maybe lovers,
It's very
relationships.
saucy. It's
Yeah.
He was very fascinating.
Yeah,
Man, for
that's,
someone who didn't understand relationships, he had a lot of them.
that's what Samantha said too. She's like, while researching Mileva's role, she came across authentic letters between her and Einstein.
Yeah.
And that's how she kind of crafted this image of Mileva, which we have to find those letters and read, by the
yes,
way.
on,
We have to-
on air.
have-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
we'll
have to
find
tell
some
you
then.
a very funny kind of sort of inside baseball, and I may get in trouble. But we were standing somewhere waiting for something, and I was talking to Johnny, and I can't remember who else. Someone else was there, and we were talking about, was Einstein a good dad or a bad dad? And I was like, well, we can all agree Einstein was a terrible father. And he got very upset. Johnny got very upset, and he was like, that's not true. He was not a bad father, and he loved his children, and he was defending him. And Jeffrey walked by, and he said he was a shitty father. I started to think about it, and it was fascinating to me because the piece of the character that they each held was at such a different time in that character's life.
Yeah.
And when you are older, you reflect on things and you reflect on your own weaknesses and the things you wish you had done differently. And when you are younger, you are busy building the thing you're building or doing the thing you're doing, and you're very focused on why you need to do that thing.
You feel invincible.
And
Yeah,
and
nothing
maybe
can
it's
stop
at
you.
the expense of a few other things, but I have to figure out the unified theory.
I think we
So
saw
very
that with
driven.
Mary
Yeah.
Curie
there.
a couple episodes ago when she mentions to Mileva, like, my kids don't love me like your kids are loving you currently because I gave all of that up to have the
Right.
career that I have. I just find it very interesting as we look at professionals and the kinds of choices they have to make and how the time period shaped those. In some ways I feel bad for Einstein. We have this great scene at the train station at the end of this episode where he's trying
was on
to
the edge
figure
of
out
my
how to
seat.
say goodbye.
I was on the
Yeah.
edge. Yeah.
I
well,
don't-
before that, what about with the astronomer also? I mean, the whole
that was hard.
the whole
yeah.
second half of the episode, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm
Yes.
like, are these guys really gonna die? Like, I was thankful Einstein's theory didn't get to go and get proven and been misproven, actually.
Absolutely.
But I was like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, props to you guys, because that's where the movie aspect, where it seems like I'm sitting in a theater and I'm like, what is gonna happen next?
Can we
oh
talk
my
about
God.
my favorite shot from this whole show? Like, we've had these really great, like, Einstein breaking down different science principles for us and helping us understand, like, molecules and how light travels through space and all these other things. The clips through the jail cell door.
How
With
heartbreaking.
him on the floor,
Yes.
and just, I'm so
Beaten
close,
and
I can't because of a stupid word I'm not even involved in. It was powerfully emotional.
It was
Right.
so powerful, as was the ending scene at the train, but I did not feel bad for him.
How could you?
Here's what
Why
I
would
I
you?
really
it
wanted
was-
it to come home to
Yeah.
him, that you can't have everything. You can't
she
drag your
said
wife
that.
to Berlin. And, well, she does say
Yeah.
it, but I'm hoping that it actually hits home with
resonates,
him.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't bring your wife to Berlin. She has no idea you're even going. She doesn't want to go. And then leave her to have an affair with someone else and expect you're still going to have this glowing relationship with your children. Like, something has to give.
And speaking of the children, one of the boys said, "What about our circumference meeting?" Or I think
Albie.
he was helping her with math.
Yeah.
Helping him with math, and it just shows that that's how Einstein was being a father figure. Not so much with the love, but showing the children how to do stuff and talk about physics, do mathematical equations. That's how he knew. That was his.
Yeah, because he's
also a
describing
wonderful way
lifts
to
with
show.
the
Yeah.
kite and everything. Yeah, it's a nice way to show. That's
Yes,
how he
because
knows
time,
love.
it's time
Yeah.
you spend, time again, time light. We're back to the essentials here, but that's how, relationships are developed, is
Yeah.
over time and giving of your time.
Do you guys think if Mileva had stayed that Einstein could have been a better father just because
No.
of distance? Just he was just closer.
He had
in
too many
proximity?
things to
He's
conquer.
too driven.
He,
Yeah.
he had
Yeah.
to leave.
It waits.
No.
In a perfect
Yeah.
world, we would not have Einstein's relativity. He would have
Yeah.
been a good father, and
Well,
we
that's-
wouldn't be where we're
Yeah.
at today. With
Exactly.
That. So,
It's
It's
Absolutely.
thankfully, things happen the way they do.
And Mileva does not sugarcoat anything. He walks in the house.
Oh
and
my
she's
God,
just
she
like,
just
"Where
right
are
out."
you, Elsa?" Or "Why were you there?" And it's like, ease into it, calm down, let him breathe a little, let him have his coffee.
I feel like Mileva has given him like a good 9 years to like calmly explain
I
things to her,
agree.
and
Yes.
he has just railroaded
And
her.
meanwhile, her dreams
waiting by the
slip through
door.
her fingers. It's so
Yeah.
hard. While we have our guests here, I wanted to touch on some of the things
Yeah.
we're talking about a little bit more. When people think of executive producers or producers, they think of, getting stuff done. But I think of executive producers as really having the creative vision, and then they go ahead and bring the money and the distribution, and they bring the director, who then in turn probably brings the actors, or perhaps you also bring in the actors yourselves. But you first have to have that creative vision. So as much as it is meeting the numbers, it's seeing it all before there's anything to see. And I wondered if you could talk to me a little bit about that and that process that maybe has informed all these things that came to play in the episodes.
Every project is different. And every time as producers you are involved, your involvement is different. And so whether you're an executive producer or a producer, you bring different things to each project. So this one in particular, I think we can speak to as executive producers and the people that generated the material. That was really what we brought.
Yeah, and I think Noah and Noah's pilot, it got revised and kind of spread out over the 10 episodes, and there are pieces and storylines that really kind of take flight as you go along in the series. But for us, as Gigi said, it really was about exploring the women in his life. What does genius mean? What were the challenges that he experienced that none of us really know about? And his curiosity was something that we really wanted to explore, along with, there's something very interesting that Noah brought to the table, and that is that embassy in Berlin and the fact that Einstein was about to be barred from entering the U.S. And that was a little fact that we really hooked onto as a framing device and as a motor, and it was something that we wanted to explore even further, and we thought that was portrayed incredibly well.
And is so resonant for today.
Yeah.
That's the
Can we have you
thing.
bring your mic just a little closer?
just a little.
Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's the thing that's so amazing and was so visceral when we were on set, is how much of the stuff that we're talking about in the show, set in the teens and 20s and 30s, it resonates for now. And it's really issues that are very top of mind now.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting.
yeah.
Time is relative, as you know, as it is, and just like how we were talking about. No, but just seriously, how we were talking about divorce and mistresses and everything, and you guys had mentioned, well, that's what's going on today. It's very prevalent, and you just don't think about those times. But it's great how you guys can make a show and then have us relate to it so far in the future.
Well, even Mileva, as a female icon, today a woman in Harvard can major in science and physics. Back in the day, she had to work 10 million times harder.
Yep.
And of course, things happened in her personal life. She couldn't reach her exact goal, but it was hard for her to go to school and get her degree and all of that. And for her, and she was so in the shadows for Einstein's life. So I didn't know about Mileva, and I was telling Samantha too. If anyone just Googles her, then the job is done. To know who that woman was on his side, struggling, trying to get an education, being in that health situation that she was, pressure of marriage, all of that. So it's relatable.
And we also get this really great idea of, we've seen some of the other scientists be upset at, like, this was initially my idea and you built upon it and you succeeded now and now I'm suddenly forgotten, even though I was instrumental in getting you there. I feel like we suffer currently from that in our view of Einstein.
Yes.
And the show really illuminates the people who helped him become the man that we know him to be. And I find that to be really important because nobody does anything in a vacuum.
That's true.
So
That's true. I also feel that this show illuminates that women still have far to go. So they can go to Harvard and get PhDs in physics, but there's still so many life choices that they have to make. Just like Mileva was making, he walks through the door and he says, "Have you received a telegram yet about Herr Freundlich?" And she says, "No, I've been in the house all day." And there you see her ironing, just, and so women are still choosing stay at home, go to work. It's tricky out there. And still,
and the conversation with Madame Curie that you guys referenced too. I mean, that could happen today. Between two women all the time.
Yes,
absolutely. It's amazing. Okay, so we talked about the war. We talked about our new couple, and their kind of relationship to Einstein and Mileva. We talked about the boys. What are we missing?
Well, we haven't talked about the gruesomeness of the war. So the war is going on, but I was very surprised when Herr Freundlich says, "Don't panic, we're going to continue on to Crimea." And he says that knowing that they've already crossed the border and that they are on enemy lines. I was such a scientist. He's not thinking politics. He's just thinking science. So driven like Einstein, and so he just thinks very naively that they're going to roll right through Russia.
Nothing of his cameras and everything. Like, oh, we'll be fine with all these cameras.
So I was like you. I was on the edge of my seat, thinking this really could not work out. I wasn't sure that they were going to be returned.
When they discovered the cameras, I was certain it was over. I was like, well, that's it. They think you're spies now, and there's just no way. I was kind of surprised at how fast Einstein was able to help broker a deal of, like, or at least get the information into the hands of the people who could make a deal.
Yes, and this is horrible to say, but we are just coming off of Einstein giving Mileva that horrible letter. And so I'm seeing him in a new light, and I was relieved when he said, when human lives are on the line, who cares if we get those photos or not? Because I wasn't sure that he was going to go that way, because he's so young for his
chose
career.
lives over his fame and his theories, and I was very happy. I was like, okay, Einstein, you got me still, just a little bit.
And now we see Philip Leonard coming out more his hatred for Einstein. He's insecure, he's jealous.
Brought up the money thing.
And he thinks Einstein is calling him old or something, but it's not even about that.
No, he's anti-Semitic.
It's
basically which is another, current in the episode.
I love how we subtly get hints of history also throughout it. Last episode we saw Carl Jung, a young Carl Jung, and kind of gives you a point of reference in time. We so nicely had hints dropped of Tesla,
which was my favorite thing ever.
I did not know Tesla was Serbian. There's a lot of Serbians circulating in the show, which is phenomenal. And then we had oh man, of course I'm gonna forget his name.
Kafka?
No, not Kafka. We had the hint of
Freud.
Let me think this. Archibald Duke, Archbishop getting shot, and that was the start of World War I. But
Ferdinand.
Thank you, Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah, he was.
Not the Archbishop.
The band.
There you go. Right? Yeah. We got this subtle drop of by the way, he was assassinated, and like as we all know now, that was the start of World War I. But at that time, everyone's
by
like,
a Serb.
well, what can he do?
Well, the showrunner Ken Biller, that was something that he layered into
beautiful.
It
It's
is
great.
every episode having kind of a dual storyline.
Dual,
that-
you have a triple. I'm getting a history lesson,
yeah.
a science lesson, a love lesson. It's like, come on.
relatable.
So
You
many.
get a little bit of religion, and I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe if you can spoiler alert, tell us if we'll see a little bit of that more in the following episodes, but he's, as I understand it, that Einstein's one of the very few scientists who is also still religious, and he
No, he wasn't.
Well, he wasn't religious.
He doesn't believe in God.
He believed
spiritual, I
he
thought.
was spiritual,
Yeah.
but he was definitively Jewish and defended his heritage, but he was not. I wouldn't call him religious.
Not
but
at
he
all.
did believe in God in his later years.
Right,
Yeah.
so in this episode,
good.
he says, I want to
tell
show
them.
people
It's in the book.
what God has
Everyone
I want
knows.
to show people what God has created. He does say that in this episode. So,
Well,
yes,
yeah, and earlier we hear him say he's like, if God isn't everything, it must be like everywhere. So he does have this idea, or at least we've seen little hints of like
Yeah.
his spirituality or how he views God is like it's science, it's everywhere.
right, but he's not following religion as sort of institutionalized.
No.
No, he
No,
just
no.
mentions that I want to explore what God has created and
Right.
make the world see what
Aware.
I see or what I want to see.
Yeah.
Well,
basically.
and the greatest irony is the man who thinks all that and found beauty in the world through what he was discovering, discovered and unlocked the key to atomic,
Right.
Yeah.
warfare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's a spoiler alert for things to come in the few episodes, but that haunted him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
he-
looking forward to getting into. It's been really great learning a lot about early Einstein, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Einstein that we know. Like I know little kernels and little bits about him, but see that really fleshed out, and especially in Jeffrey Rush's capable
Well, we know
hands.
Yes, as
we
move
know
into
him
World
as
War
that
II.
poster child growing up, and that's the thing about this show that I love. You don't have to have a background in physics. You don't have to be great in history. It just makes it so humanizing that everyone can relate and have fun
And incredibly accessible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to talk just a little bit about Mileva's lover this episode.
That was a
Yes.
one-time thing.
No.
I'm just glad she has one.
One time
That was
or
not a
not. One time or not. What I
Notes from the
enjoy-
couch.
What I enjoyed about it was this idea that someone was finally treating Mileva like a human being again. We've seen her with friends, kind of here and they're mostly women and mostly doing their best to give good like wife advice, like, okay, you're in this situation, so how do we navigate it now? Whereas this guy, she just gets to be herself, and it was really refreshing to see her have this like hours long
Yeah.
conversation where she got to be a little bit flirty, a little bit funny, but also like stretch her like brain muscle and actually
But I
like
don't,
think.
I don't think
dressed
that
up.
happened though. That's the thing. They had a conversation, and it was just conversation where the time went by. Like it is the complete. It's the mirroring of what Einstein and
Elsa.
Elsa has, where like she's like, oh, maybe I don't need another scientist as a husband. I need a husband. I need someone who is interested in myself, because they didn't talk math at all.
Until
it wasn't,
after dinner,
It
he
wasn't until
shows
after
the
dinner.
proof.
He's like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about dinner. I'm talking about the first time he comes
in
to
the
her
apartment,
house.
well,
Yeah, in the apartment.
she felt like a man actually wanted to hear what she had to
Yeah,
say. They
absolutely.
had tea. They talked about her childhood, her family. But the second time,
We
when
talked
she
about
goes-
politics in Serbia.
Yeah.
Exactly.
absolutely.
How she
the
misses
second
home.
time, she changes her outfit. She's in a dress. Her hair was done. She had a necklace. She had a necklace on. So finally, a man is treating her how she probably wants to be treated.
And
Exactly.
I felt great about this because I feel that we look at Mileva and we see the obvious betrayal, which is Einstein, but she's also been betrayed in other ways.
Oh, sure.
At first, she loves Elsa, and she thinks that Elsa is finally a family member taking her in.
So
and
naive.
So that's another really hard blow. I feel
That
of
hurt.
betrayal. So when she meets a fellow Serb, I just feel like she really needs that right now.
Did
Someone
anyone
of
feel
her
bad
ilk.
for Elsa in that moment when they're having the fancy dinner and she
No.
like her
No.
sociable skills? I felt a little bad. Like Elsa, I don't feel is like necessarily a bad person. Like when people fall in love when you're in a relationship, like it's messy, don't do it. But when it happens,
Yeah.
it's like it's challenging. Like these two people really do genuinely love each other, and she just wants the best for everybody.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not trying to hurt your wife. I'm not trying to hurt you. I don't want a scandal. I'm definitely not trying to hurt my kids. And she's balancing like
Yeah.
all of these responsibilities and also these new love emotions. Like
one
it's
thing
hard.
about Mileva, about Elsa is I respect. She stood her ground. She's like, I'm not going to be your mistress.
Yeah.
You get a divorce, and then
We can talk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't feel bad for her at all. I get that it's uncomfortable, and I can see where it would be uncomfortable, but I don't feel bad for
No.
her.
How can you?
fair. That's so fair. I just do. She's
you're kind of
dealing with
person than
so
I.
many things, and she didn't ask for this. Like I put this squarely on Einstein's shoulders. Like you need to figure out how to communicate with your partner. Like, because it's not like Mileva's not doing everything she can to be like, please talk to me about what's happening at all, about anything. We can work it out. And he's just like, we're just moving to Berlin. Just trust me, it's the best idea. And I can't talk about it right now, but it's good.
It's funny because even though Einstein is very different with Elsa than he is with Mileva, there are hints that he still is who he is. You know, Elsa really doesn't want to be shamed in public, and Einstein gives her this huge kiss right in public for the world to see. She's really like, not thinking about her, how this could affect her, just like he didn't with Mileva. He didn't think about how it could affect Mileva.
That woman said, think about your reputation. You know, it's worse for
Bertha was my favorite character this episode. She came in like a lightning bolt and was like, look,
what
girl,
are you doing?
You're gonna it's just a
Get
rumor
your shit
now,
together.
but I'm letting you know it's gonna blow up and it's gonna be worse on you. And I like, because I think it would have been very easy for anyone to just be like, screw you, like, this is my life, you have no business being here. Like, it's just like, Bertha's kind of right. You gotta make some changes.
Before all that, she was very carefree, and I didn't like the choices she was making, because it was if she didn't care for her children. She didn't care for Elsa? Albert. Yeah.
What?
And
Elsa
then
was
she
very.
does in the car.
No, she wasn't.
Care about her.
In the car,
Listen,
she's like, I have children.
Having this affair, going through, like, taking these steps to like take those steps, that takes a lot of not courage, but like that's a lot of wrong steps to take, and she's just like doing it haphazardly, like, I'm just gonna keep going with the flow here, not thinking.
It's a haphazard emotion, like, it's not calculated, and I feel like Elsa just saw a guy who's like, he's not happy and he's not being taken care of, and I can make him happy, and we love each other. Like, again, it's messy, but I understand it from Elsa's point of view. And when she realized she was broaching a line, when someone was brought to her attention, like, look, this is going to go public, you can't keep it a secret, your kids are finding out about it, and that's difficult to explain, like, why are you kissing Uncle? It's weird. It's just weird. We have some things to work out here. She takes appropriate steps to make it right. So did she make all of the best decisions? No. But I do think that she made some wise decisions overall. Like, she remains with him. Like, feels like it's true love. It just didn't happen in a fairy tale way.
Well, do you think Mileva made the right decision by taking the kids and putting them on the train?
Oh, man. That's super complicated. I think Mileva did what was best for her in that moment, and I think it's about time that she did do one thing that was really good for her. She needs to be away from him. She needs to be out of Germany. She needs to go someplace where she's accepted as who she is. I mean, she faces a lot of, like, prejudice. Like
just being Serbian, living,
exactly,
seriously.
which Einstein doesn't even know.
Einstein's
on top
whole
of having
family.
a failing marriage.
And not to forget that also her own father shunned Einstein. So poor Mileva really has been left out in the cold. From Einstein's family, Einstein himself, her own family, Elsa. I mean, she really just has nowhere to turn.
Absolutely.
So she went to Switzerland, right? So,
yes.
Okay.
So she said that kind of felt like home, and she misses home. So what I think will determine if best long-term decision is, like, how do the kids get along there? Are they okay? Are they happy? Do they have friends? That kind of stuff.
Well, and we got a little piece of Edward.
We see how the kids
happy. That's to grow for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope she starts over. I hope she finds someone and, maybe goes back to school.
We know from our pilot that she gets involved in some things, which I'm super excited to see.
She's calling Einstein about.
We get to see, I think, next week.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we can see Mileva in that situation. We'll definitely come back to Einstein and his situation, so that should be exciting. Before we do our outros and things, I wanted to ask you guys one final question, which is, you've cultivated the show. It's amazing. It's on air, so you did it. Now the viewers are watching. What do you guys hope people take away from the show?
Well, I have to say, just sitting here and listening to the conversation and how much conflict, conversation, ideas that have come out of the episode of 106 and everything that you've seen to date, this is exactly what we're hoping that comes about. I don't know if there's anything else we want to add to that, but it's looking at humanity and how people are not necessarily perfect, and also what is the definition of genius, and how does that impact one's relationships. It's a very special show, and we're really, really excited that it's getting such great reaction.
Awesome.
Will you be involved in the other season 2, 3? So all of the Geniuses on National Geographic.
Correct.
Oh, so you've been responsible for getting all that content then.
Well, we were responsible for getting this content, and as a group, we are now figuring out what's next.
Can Can we get hints of anything?
Yes, because we
Do
would
we
like
know?
a hint.
We have-
Tesla.
Look at
Okay.
they're like, no.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
It's gonna be somebody really smart.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Chat, I would like you guys to please put your suggestions in the. I want to know who our audience is interested in seeing next.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Do we wanna go-
Did you just shout out Tesla?
You said Tesla.
No, you said Tesla. Well,
I said Jeff Bezos.
yeah.
all right.
Someone did say Tesla. I didn't. Did I say Tesla?
I don't know.
I heard Tesla
No, I
too.
said
but-
Tesla.
Okay,
too.
okay.
I said Tesla.
I was like, I know I didn't say Tesla. I said Tesla before. I don't know. It would be interesting to see us jump to the future, to like someone in our
like a
time
modern
period.
genius?
But
Ooh.
maybe a modern genius. But I honestly love history. So like if we
Yeah.
go, I mean, going back to like maybe Galileo, would that be going too far back? I don't know.
What's
I feel
too
the same.
far?
I would say Da
We'll
Vinci.
see.
I'd like to see more of that
Da
art
Vinci would be
science.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
He has a lot.
Yes.
Ooh.
And he has a very interesting, I believe, someone correct me online if I'm wrong, but he has a very interesting personal life. I believe he was, don't want to have this wrong, perhaps struggling with homosexuality. I just think there's a big personal story there.
Yeah.
I
That
would
whole
like to
time
see.
is-
We've got dotted throughout history female conquerors, and I feel like we don't have enough really dope female conquerors on
Love to
TV
see it.
or anywhere really. So more of that would be really awesome. Before we go, we do predictions. So I just want to get a little brief predictions. If everybody has like one for next week, this is our prediction music.
And now, your
I love
AfterBuzz
that
TV
pyramid. It's good times every time.
predictions.
Obviously, Rush comes back. We're jumping into the future or closer past. You guys know. So what do we think is going to be happening next week? What are we excited to see?
I want the divorce to be finalized, and I want Elsa and Einstein to finally move in together, and all of that. So.
I'm looking to see more politics. I'm looking to see how we roll through World War I and then onwards into heavy anti-Semitism into World War II. And will this force Einstein to be more political, or how will that shift in his personal character? Will his heart for humanity harden a bit? Or I'm interested in that whole transformation.
Kind of interested in that too. Yeah, I mean, we're on the brink of World War I, so I know we get a glimpse of Geoffrey Rush, which is World War II. We're jumping. I would like to see more World War I. That's always such a war that's overlooked.
We do gloss over it.
We gloss over. We can't be glossing over something.
America
like
didn't
that.
do it. We're like World War II, bring it.
What are you
Yeah, what do you think?
You know, I'm excited for us to get to the bomb. I don't think we'll get there just quite, but maybe we'll get some of the early science and slow endeavors into that, because it's not what he set out to do. And I don't know much about how he got to that point, so I'd be really fascinated to learn about that. I also want to see Einstein in America. Is he a different person? Does America bring out new sides of him? It's a slightly more liberal place at this time, so I'm just curious to see how he does there. But yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. Well, we're addicted, as you can see.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday, look
I
forward
should
to it.
say, I saw, if Wikipedia is accurate, I think I saw 1.36 million watch the first episode, and approximately
Wow.
1 million have watched every episode after. So
Amazing.
we are not the only addicts.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys so much for being
Thank
here and sharing your
you.
insight. It was
Thank you.
wonderful discussing the show with you and getting some behind the scenes stuff. And we're definitely looking forward to future seasons, whatever they may bring. Until next week, panel, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Zach with a CH Silverman 2 and at thezachsilverman.com.
Elysabeth Alfano, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at dinnerpartychgo, and we're talking about strong women. I just put up my interview with very strong Helen Mirren, Dame Helen Mirren. So you can find that interview at thedinnerparty.tv.
Hi all, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Nobody Reads Anymore, and on Twitter at Nobody Reads, and check out my latest book review on The Everything Store by Brad Stone, which talks about Jeff Bezos, another great innovator, and Amazon.
Excellent. I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com, every Wednesday at Schmoes Know. If you follow Schmoes, you know Beardo. He's always in the booth. He has a show called Don't Be a Beardo. I did it on Tuesday. Super fun guy, great conversationalist. Definitely check that out. Also, my review of Telltale's A New Frontier, which is their new Walking Dead game, came out. Episode 5 dropped on Tuesday, so go download that, play the game. It's super fun. Ladies, do you do the social medias? Where can people find you?
You can find us
Back here.
Genius. Our,
Watching
our
Genius.
stuff. Watch Genius.
Well, we'll have to have you back on AfterBuzz TV,
Yes.
and then they'll find you here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
Really
you.
wonderful to have
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much
much
for joining us. We'll be right back here next week with episode 7. See you then.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.